Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to a game called Our Life. Let's just get right into it, shall we? We are making our way through, as always. How about we just pick a caterer? Alright. Cove's running enthusiasm was no surprise to you. Food's always excited him. Baxter placed his hands on his arms of his chair and lightly tapped it with the tip of his
In that
nose.
case...
In that case, it should be a nice time. We'll make sure you find the proper service to meet your needs, but don't worry, I won't get in the way of deciding any of the details for the menu. Thanks. I appreciate that. After the rest of the session circled on finding a specific catering company, and eventually you all agreed on one particular, they were able to make arrangements with you right away. One phone call and you had scheduled the time to go over the details in person. That included a meeting with the chef too. And as added bonus, this would all happen before your next appointment with Baxter. It was a relief knowing that the menu would be taken care of by the next time you saw him again. Until then, there wasn't much else to do. It was time to leave. Thanks again for your help.
See you.
It's my pleasure. Of course, I await your next visit. We'll be back soon. Bye. Baxter nodded once with a genuine smile as he watched you head out the door. Once you were outside the offices, you noticed a little pep in Cove step. You both were in good spirits. Chipping away at the wedding planning had a special way of doing that. On the scheduled appointment with the caterer, you and Cove eagerly arrived at the location specified over the phone. You were led inside the building, past the seating room, and directly into the commercial kitchen. It was a sleek silver and so clean and sparkled. The observation alleviated some worries right away. Next to you, Cove's eyes wandered the space with intrigue. Along the back wall, he spotted a woman at a sink large enough to be arm's length deep. She looked over her shoulder and grinned broadly. Hold on, I'll be right there. Rhonda. Haven't heard that name. She finished washing up and swiftly crossed the room, drying her hands on her apron. When she reached you and Cove, she gave a little bow. Hi, I'm the head chef and your caterer. Hear that you're getting married and are in need of a sustenance for your friends and family. Yeah, we are. Well, I can assure you that you come to the right place. We provide a full-course meal with a menu tailored to your tastes and requirements. We also include all the plating, silverware, glasses, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Why don't you introduce yourselves? A bit stunned by the speediness of the chef's candor, Cove took the opposite approach and solely awkwardly pointed to himself. I'm Cove, the groom. I'm Luna, the bride. Love it. Call me Rhonda. Okay, hi Rhonda. Hi Rhonda, thanks so much for meeting with us. Marvelous. Now I have a little pamphlet that I'm gonna go grab. You can read it, leave it on the counter, use it as a coaster. It's okay, I'm gonna explain everything myself anyways. Think of it as an extra guide. Rhonda waved an idea of any formality with both hands as she, shrugged nonchalantly. Cove chuckled shyly, leaning towards you while she lightly jogged to the other side of the kitchen. She scooped up 2 information sheets and came right back. Rhonda confidently stretched her arm out all the way to offer you each a pamphlet. Both of you accepted one. Cove turned around his hands, inspecting it carefully. You studied the one in your hands too. Ooh. Interesting. Well, now that I remembered that, we can get into the nitty-gritty. Let's shop talk the menu. We can choose to have a single menu that's consistent across the board, easy peasy, or we can do 2 fully separated types of menus based on different dietary needs. Guests could choose between them, and we'll prepare as much as both of them as needed. And it practically goes without saying, but we're able to accommodate individual plate change-up if any comes up. For example, a situation where just 1 or 2 people need some specific elements left out, we can work without needing to make another full selection for it. So, what kind of menu did you 2 have in mind? I know some of the... Okay. What the heck is lactose vegetarian? Someone who eats plant-based diets but includes dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, while excluding meat, poultry, fish, seafood, and eggs. So, basically so what's the difference between... So vegan is full. Oh, I guess because lacto-vegetarian, so yeah. How is that different from regular vegetarians or regular vegan? I guess it should be probably lacto-vegan, so like one that eats basically only veggie-based things but includes dairy products. Proletarian, I think, is poultry and all that. Pescatarian is the fish one, I think. Yeah, avoids eating land animals, but does include fish-based products, along with, of course, a few other things. What is it? Halal diet. Islamic diets. So avoids eating specific items like pork, alcohol, and not slaughtered according to their special rituals. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Then kosher diets. What is kosher? So follows Jewish dietary laws like pork, shellfish, and mixing meat and dairy. Separate utensils from meat and dairy. Okay. Guess let's just do proletarian. And that's the only necessary we need. You're confident that your friends and family were in for a delicious surprise. Turning to Cove, you check to see if he had options on the menu. How's that sound? Thinking that we have a good plan going. Great. That's the biggie already done then. Let's keep the ball rolling. Okay, what's next on the agenda? At the minimum, there's going to be a main entree in our service, so that's one course automatically. And if you're having cake or another dessert, that's technically going to be another course for your guests. Although that doesn't count as one of the portions as we offer. You can go up to 6 courses. The dinner and as 5 additional portions. So we're looking at salad, soup, hot appetizer, cold appetizer, and or palate cleanser. Do you want to know how big your service you're going to want to be? I guess 3 course maybe should be plenty. Do you think so too? That sounds good. Cove ran up contemplating the possible combinations with the courses. He picked up the planful again. I really did want at least one of the other options. 3 courses, isn't it? Sounds like it. Do you want to know what you'd like for it? I want one of them to be a soup. That's a yummy choice. I'm sold. Okay, we have an entree and a soup agreed upon. Yep. The chef glanced up from her notepad. She twirled the pen with her fingertips in anticipation. It's coming along nicely so far. What else were you thinking? I don't know what kind of guess a hot appetizer? Perfect. This would be tasty. And how much heat are you expecting for the dishes? We can keep it all very mild, or we can easily push the spice levels up. Mild is the base, please. That'll keep everyone happy. Maybe there could be sauces on the table for people to add on their own. You can do that. Your lips pulled into a happy smile. Not that you were surprised, but still, you're grateful to have Cove's full support. Yeah, I struggle with spicy food sometimes. And the chief backtracked through her notes for a second. She had thought over everything you had discussed until she could pin down exactly what was slipping her mind. What about the drinks? Are we a just water please party, coffee and tea group, or hard drinkers? There's always at least going to be water even if you have other options, so don't worry about that. Oh, I'd like there to be fruit juices, I guess. It's coffee and tea. Some sparkling water. That's everything I'm thinking. I think we covered it. There's nothing else I want to add. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need any alcohol or anything. We'll make it happen. So that's menu type, meal scale, spice level, and beverage basics. Please, Rana rolled her sleeves up. Her gaze fell onto you and Cove with a new determined gleam. Let's go deeper. Cove smiled nervously at the shift's intensity, but he didn't welt completely. You had a seeking suspicion his remaining strength came from the topic still being about food. The conversation continued from there. It dug into the specifics such as the main protein, side ingredients, the style of cuisine the food would be based on, and so on and so on. And it took a fair bit of time, but eventually a finalized selection was arranged. You couldn't get over how delicious everything sounded the longer the conversation went. By the end, Cove appeared just as relieved and excited as you were about the food, but most of all, you were grateful to have a set menu planned for the wedding. Rhonda, however, hadn't slowed down at all. I see you're both settling down for a rest, but just hang on and stay with me a little while longer. We're not done yet. Oh, is there something else? Yes, it's called presentation. We can do all levels of flair for your meal. Were you picturing a plain Jane approach or something more hoity-toity? I want whatever Cove wants. Cove held your gaze for a moment. He went under your affectionate gaze. Well, I think it would just look nice, kind of like special because it's a special day, but it doesn't have to be crazy fancy. Cove rubbed his arm nervously. His lips pulled up into a hopeful smile, and you understood where he was coming from. That works for us. So I started to talk about way back when we'll provide the plates and utensils and stuff. Plates are white, but they can be plain or have a little swirly details around the edges. What do you think of that? Before you or Cove could even consider giving an answer, she held her hands up to stop and stole a glance over her shoulder. Wait, give me a second. I'll grab some stacks. You should see before choosing anything. Again, without leaving a window to say anything in response, Rhonda darted off deep into the kitchen. Cove stared at her as she went. His expression was deadpan. You can pick the plates. Alright, I'll handle it. An abrupt clattering came from the direction she just appeared down, and a moment later, your catering had reappeared. She kept her word and had piles of plates balanced on each of her hands. She stepped up to clear counter space. Miranda spoke cheerfully, almost musically, while laying out the first set of plates and had some forks to go with them. Perhaps you knew for sure what they'd look like together. Here's the white. Very simple. The two of you silently looked at the collection of completely plain white dinner plates. And there's the swirl. Ooh, I do like the swirl. As promised, the white plates she put down did have some swirls on them. That much could be noted on that. Now, what were you thinking? I like the swirly one. Got it. Thanks for humoring me. Because you're gonna get a hot appetizer, of course, as an extra piece to the puzzle. Now, we could just bring out ahead of the meal and place on in front of each of the guests in their seat, but that's not our only option. We could have all the appetizers set out on a single tray from the very start of the reception, so guests can go over and eat as they please. Or we can even have servers walk around the room with platters and appetizers to offer guests throughout the party as they mingle. I would enjoy having servers walk around the party. Wow, wedding's gonna be elegant. Cove chuckled, but he backed your suggestion wholeheartedly. The image of the reception was really starting to take shape in your imagination. Righto, that's what we'll do, thank you. And now, you breathe. We're done. Miranda laughed happily as she closed her notepad to put it aside. Okay, cool. I'm glad we have worked that out. Thank you very much, Rhonda. It's great. Thanks for all the help. My pleasure, and I look forward to knocking your socks off. It'll be a 3-course proletarian mild meal that your guests will be talking about for years to come, I promise. One last question. Sure thing. How do we get out of here again? Miranda clasped her hands and let out a deep laugh. Cove's face reddened with embarrassment. Go down the hall, take a left to another hall, then a right, and then you'll find the exit. So nice meeting you two. Thanks again. After that, you and Cove left the kitchens and made it out of the building in one piece, following Miranda's instructions. You both returned to the car with a vigor in your strides. It's amazing to get such a nice meal arranged in exactly the way that you both wanted it to be. The food was definitely going to be something that you're going to be daydreaming about from now until the big day. And you arrived at the office again, and Baxter was already comfortably seated and scanning over his notebook. He glanced it up up from it at the sound of the door opening.
Hello, folks.
Welcome back. What's on the menu? Bax's smirk, but Cove's answer with complete earnestness. An Napolitan menu. Delicious. What shall we be doing today? I really think we should do venues now. I really shouldn't be put off any longer. Baxter rubbed his hands together and grinned at you.
Absolutely.
Alright, now we're getting serious. Cove gulped, his Adam's afro briefly reaching into his chin as if afraid, but he nodded in assent.
Alright.
This is right. We should decide this. His eyes met yours as he bobbed his head again. Let's do it. Oh, look at his goofy smile. You sat up straight, your back tearing away from the comfort of the sofa cushioning as you readied yourself for such a critical discussion in your wedding preparations. Here we go. Good. Stretch. There are stunning buildings in the area which used to be private locations but have since opened up specifically for wedding ceremonies, for any couples who would like to make use of them. Naturally, there are plenty of commercial locations which can easily host a full-size after-party for your reception. His mouth twitched into a sly smile. Or, if you prefer something outdoors, there's always the beach. He chuckled, fully aware of what obvious suggestion that was for his current clients. You could go for a spot that can host both parts of the wedding, so it's entirely in one location, but there's no harm in making a little trip from the ceremony to the reception afterwards either. It's entirely up to you. He held up a hand, stopping himself mid-flow, but continuing to smile wryly. But, I don't wish to get carried away in a preamble. Where would you like us to start? He leaned in, not planning on missing one word, the hand which he held in the air now propping up his chin. Glance over to Cove, curious to see what he was thinking. Cove picked up on your prompt immediately. Oh, if nobody cares, I'd like to talk about the location for the ceremony. Cove bit his lip as he weaved his fingers together in his lap. When he spoke again, his voice was soft and sweet, but just a little sheepish. That's the one I'm most excited about. Gladly. He relaxed back into his rolling chair and then took out a phone with one hand while extracting his pen with the other.
I can do that.
I got the photos of places I mentioned to let you actually get a feel for the scene. Baxter tapped away at the screen, pulling up the previous potential ceremony locations for your wedding. While he was particularly preoccupied with that, he rattled off the specific kinds of locations you could use. So there's a few spots I'd like to show you. There's a mansion that was formerly owned, as well as a church, mosque, or synagogue in the same vein. There's a beach, as always, or perhaps a different outdoor space. Cove's eyes darted over to Baxter and back to you as he spoke up tentatively. So are we allowed to mention our own ideas for the place? Baxter nodded admiringly.
Certainly.
What did you have in mind?
Well...
Well... He was looking down at his shoes as he spoke. Taking a deep breath, he glanced over at you. There's the Poppy Hill. He grinned back at Cove. It made sense given the starring role in your and Cove's shared story. Cove, still flustered, returned your grin sheepishly. He was clearly pleased to see that you've been happy with his suggestion. He turned back to Baxter. I told you about it. It's where we got engaged and you followed. It's also where we first met.
That's sweet.
That's sweet. He tilted his head away and closed his eyes. I remember seeing it when I was there. Cove's gaze was fixed on Baxter with rapt attention, awaiting the verdict. It's rather small in rounds. Cove deflated, his shoulders shagging. Baxter's opened his eyes again and continued. If you don't mind your guests having to stand, there's just not room for chairs. We could still set up a simple ceremony there. Cove chuckled as he straightened up in his seats. Could be worse. The confidence had been restored to him, having Baxter take his suggestion seriously and even offered ways to accommodate it and help put Cove at ease. Then he checked over to you. We don't have to do it there, though. If it's the poppies you want, there is another option.
Does that sound alright?
I know of a bigger and flatter field of those flowers in Sunset Bird area. It would be spacious enough to have a full set of... Cove's eyes lit up in recognition. I know the one you mean. His expression turned dreamy and he lowered his voice to a whisper. It's a beautiful... Oh, look at his smile. He was reminiscing about the day years ago when you'd taken him there as a surprise. He called it vividly, and from how hard he tried to surprise you to the way you turned the tables on Cove that morning and brought him to the white field of poppies. Thinking on it made your heart swell. The passion from that day stirred once more. Your younger self had longed to make Cove happy, and you were glad to see they succeeded. Looking at Cove, his expression tender, you could see that the victory continued to this day. Very nice. Then Cove jolted in his seat, his head snapping up as another idea came to him. Are people allowed to have weddings or whatever in redwood forests? Even though it's kind of further away, that's an amazing place to be in. He settled down in the warm nostalgia. Made some good memories there. Baxter nodded surely. It is an option for certain spots, but you could get it set it up if you want. Cove grinned delighted. Baxter spread his hands wide, holding the pen in his phone with his fingers so that you could see the palms in each hand.
Well,
Those are ideas, it sounds like. Tell me, what's standing out most to you? Actually, I already know the one I want. I want to do the poppy field outside of town. Cove's eyes rose in response to your statement. The poppy field? His wavy brows relaxed, stopping gently as he smiled softly. I love that. It's perfect for the two of us. Your body tried to gasp and laugh in excitement at the same time, resulting in a short, breathy snort followed by exhilarating giggle. We're gonna have a poppy field ceremony.
exciting.
Exciting indeed. He smiled indulgently like a teacher lying the class for a moment of levity before bringing you back to their studies. Before you get fully carried away, there's still the reception location to consider. Baxter glanced down at his phone, nodding almost imperceptibly as he clicked away to get the information he needed. There are a couple of big halls you can consider, one of which is frequently used for dances and another for more formal events. There's also a large room in a historic mansion that could host a reception, the same one I mentioned before. A rather new option is actually the aquarium in the city oval, which now has a bandwidth to host private events. Cove's jaw dropped and he uttered a single word.
Seriously?
Really? It'd be in the main display room with the floor-to-ceiling tanks. His mouth continued to hang open, his face frozen. It was certainly a rare opportunity, and you couldn't think of anyone who'd be excited by the option as Cove. As such, the news had temporarily stunned him. All at once, he blinked rapidly, closing his mouth in a hurry. Your attention returned to Baxter. The aquarium was certainly an option to keep in mind, but there was many other options to consider.
Of course.
Or if you wanted something outdoors, there's always the beach, of course. And even though you didn't want to use the redwood forest for the ceremony, it could also work as a reception, so you're welcome to keep it in mind as an option. Like before, if there's anything you would like to bring up yourself, that's perfectly fine. I recommend it. He pursed his lips as he dug around in mind, pondering the possibilities. As a thought struck him, he shifted toward you. What about that country club your moms are a part of? He snapped his fingers over and over, trying to dredge up the name back up to the tip of his
Right.
tongue. They had their anniversary dinner there. You know the one. He closed his eyes, browed forward and deep as he tried to recall it. We were torn on whether or not to bail him out. Before he could come to a decision, Baxter caught on and filled in the blanks. Ah, yes, the Cypress, I believe. He nodded. Baxter returned to the gesture as Cove opened his eyes again, looking back, both relieved and like victory had been swiped on from under him.
It's doable.
They would absolutely be able to host a reception, especially since your families are members. Cove beams. It's cool if we go with one of the other things. I just thought it was an idea. I agree. It was a smart suggestion. I have no doubt that they'll be able to do an excellent job if you choose them, but that's really what feels comfortable for you. Baxter leaned in, perching his chin on the knuckles of his left hand. He was still holding his pen and phone ready to leap attack.
What do you think?
What's holding you the most interesting to you right now? We can talk it over. The aquarium does sound really interesting. Baxter held up a finger to indicate that he would be a moment. That was nearly all it took, as he was able to look up the pictures of the aquarium's large display room with ease. He showed the screen to you and Cove. As he gazed at the beloved water world, Cove bobbed his shoulders from side to side with the attention locked on the screen. He wondered if he was even aware he was doing it. It's like they simply made it available for voting just for Cove. Finally, Cove pulled his gaze from the phone and glanced over his shoulder to you. You could tell that he was trying to figure out what you were thinking. I feel like that's gonna work. What do you think, Cove? Cove lifted an eyebrow thoughtfully. The aquarium for our reception? His voice lifted at the end as though he was asking a question, but he didn't seem to expect an answer. Rather, it was as though he was contemplating the feel of words on his tongue, checking that they felt right as a final test. Cove broke into a grin. I think you're right. It matched for us for sure. You let out a sigh of satisfaction, pleased that Cove had come up with the same conclusion you had. You'd already begun visualizing your reception there, and known it had to happen. The aquarium was definitely the right choice for the two of you. Your energies was mounting. With the venue picked, your idle daydreams of the big day moved from hazy imagination to sharp clarity. The excitement radiated off of you and Cove, and he pulled himself closer to you on the sofa, your legs brushing against each other. Sensing that his audience was becoming distracted, Baxter quickly spoke up. A ceremony at the poppy field and a reception in the aquarium after. Looking thoughtful, Baxter tapped his pen against the side of his desk. Your eyes were drawn to the source of the noise. He tilted his hand to tap it once more, and the pen idly rolling between his finger and thumb, and then he said,
Perfect.
Sounds like a wedding. I'll make it happen. Cove spun to face you, his eyes alight with glee. Got the wedding locations. You felt every thump in your heart beating in your chest. It was a thought so simple yet so monumental that you were struggling to accept it all at once. You knew where your wedding was going to be. You reach over for a sidelong hug. Wrapping an arm around him, you pulled up Cove towards you. He obliged happily, leaning in and nestling his body close to yours. We're really going to have a wedding, you marveled. It seems like such a huge undertaking that at times you wondered how people manage it. Now it's coming together so incredibly that you could hardly believe it. Yeah, this is definitely very crazy. Like, who would have thunk? Cove chuckled at your words. Gazing into his eyes, you knew that all he could think was about the day that you'd just taken another step toward planning. Reviewing the venue options had taken up a bulk of your allotted time with Baxter. You would now need to reach out to the location managers and make the arrangements, so you would come to the mutual agreement that you ended here and let it take care of your matters right away. Goodbyes followed, and then you and Cove giddily left the office and spilled out to the street together. It was a great day to end that day's work. And with that, I think I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path wherever it might lead you into the future. I hope to see you guys again soon.